I'm very fond of both of you, but I do have a couple of tough questions for you. There has been so much has happened with this case, and so many interesting characters have come out of nowhere the last couple of months, especially on the behalf of the defense. A lot of them, one of them I think of in particular, I know him well. He has a podcast. I won't mention by name out of respect, but he's also allowed on this platform anytime if he wants to. I'll give him that opportunity too. But a lot of people that I've thought were kind of out of nowhere, and a lot of things are being thrown around. And you guys have found yourself, and I think it's a lot of it's Áine just because of the way Áine is. She's strong-headed. And Kevin's more I don't know, reserved maybe in his thoughts. But Áine just can't help it. And I love you both, of course.
The girl can't help it.
What makes the Murder Sheet podcast great is the coverage that you're doing on the case. So my question to you, and the last question, and I'll leave you with this. How do you toe that line with not giving too much more attention to the circus shit that's going on? I don't know how to say it. So Áine, for you personally, you've been bringing this up a lot in episodes, and whereas normally earlier in the podcast, there wasn't as much stuff going around. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't innocent until proven guilty. But for you guys, the Murder Sheet, you have been doing a lot more responding to some of these content creators that you ever did before. For you guys, what's where we try to not give that much more attention and try to solely focus onto the case? Does that make sense what I'm saying? That's a hard question.
But it's a good question. So our philosophy, even though I'm more hot-headed and Kevin's more cool-headed, I think fire and ice, somebody called us once, which was funny. I think that we both agree and we both have the philosophy that if we feel that something rises to the level where it is directly impacting or has a strong potential to impact or is at this point considered involved in the case, we feel it is worth addressing. So what I'm talking about is, this is a hypothetical. I'm not going to use any real examples, but let's say Kevin is a content creator and he gets involved in something where he's basically working secretly for the defense and gets busted, and it's this whole, and there's court filings about it. To me, when something's in that space, that is worth talking about. And I've come to the view, and people can agree or disagree, is that this is what high profile cases are going to look like going forward in the internet age. You're going to be having people who are suffering from severe main character syndrome try to insert themselves into cases, despite the fact that they have no real connection to them.
So you're saying that's what's happening, just for the record. You're just going out, you're just going to go ahead and say that.
That is what is happening. That is also what's happening in other cases that we're aware of.
And I also think as people who cover this case, we're aware of a lot more things behind the scenes than we talk about.
It seems to be that way, Kevin. Not to cut you off, but it seems like a lot of people know a whole lot that the public might not know.
Yes, and we also have relationships with people that we don't necessarily speak about. And so because of this, also, we see how people are affected by things that go out on other programs. And some of these people, for whatever reasons, aren't able to speak up for themselves. And there are times when we feel like it falls to us to do this. A recent example was there was a fundraiser for the defense of Richard Allen. And the fundraiser used a hashtag that had been created by the family of the victims to honor the victims. And this was something that caused a great deal of pain and stress and heartache to people who already suffered. And so that was something we felt obligated to speak up.
Yeah, there's times where we feel, if we wanted to basically go fully into the crankospheres, whatever, we could probably have a whole separate podcast just about that. But we do talk about it more now because I think it's had more of an impact. We've had YouTubers brought up on the stand at the contempt hearing. We've had YouTubers cited in defense filings. This stuff is having an impact. I believe it is influencing the defense strategy directly. And
is this the way things are going to be moving forward in cases, though?
100%.
Are we seeing some change of the way things are done here?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you, the courts, the prosecutors, law enforcement, defense attorneys, they are not prepared for what's coming. I don't think the public is prepared for what's coming. I think we're getting into a time where true crime could be synonymous with just outright conspiracy. And I think most people who are true crime consumers don't want that. I think most people want respectful, reality-based information. So I think by speaking on it, we hope to at least alert people so that they can be aware that if you ever find yourself involved in something like this, that's high profile enough, there will be a contingent of people online who will try to become directly involved to work out whatever issues they have. And that should be something that should be discouraged and that we should, I believe, try to kind of push against, because it has real world harm. You have people who get smeared. You have family members of victims who get smeared and harassed and stalked, and it's not pretty.
Jeff Townsend Media. CG, good night.
And the question is, do I stay here? Will you be back? Are you gonna come back? Will you be back? Are you coming back?